Farmers in Argentina are wrapping up their growing season for corn and soybeans, while those in Brazil are harvesting what's expected to be a record soybean crop. The USDA's latest estimate put total output at 100 million metric tons, or about 3.7 billion bushels. That's less than what U.S. growers raised in 2015, but Brazil has been the world's leading soybean exporter since 2011. On Wednesday, we talked with DTN South America correspondent Alastair Stewart from Sao Paulo to get an update on conditions, starting with a look at harvest progress in Brazil.
Harvest is going now pretty well after a very slow start. Basically, the backstory is that Brazil was very late to plant this year because of dry weather, and therefore the harvest was delayed. But now we're starting to build up some pace. The harvest is about a third complete now, which is more or less on track.
And what are we seeing for yields?
Yields in Mato Grosso and the Cerrado are, particularly in Mato Grosso, are slightly below last year, slightly below averages. However, the South has received a lot of rain over the last 3 months, and their yields are expected to be rather higher. And that will rather compensate the lower yields in parts of Mato Grosso. Overall production is going to be very good? Yes, yes. We're talking about something in the region of 100 million metric tons once again. When during the drier spells in Mato Grosso in November, December, and then people were talking about lower numbers. What we're seeing now with the early yields, particularly out of Paraná in the south, is that maybe the losses won't be any losses in Mato Grosso will be partially compensated. So numbers around 100 million tons at the moment are the norm.
What's the forecast for the second crop then, which would be corn in many places?
Because it's a second crop, it's planted, the corn principally is planted immediately after the soybeans. Because of the delays in the soybeans, there's a knock-on effect on the corn. The delays, in fact, mean that many producers are planting the corn outside the recommended window. At the moment, the second crop corn is about 50% planted, when it should be pretty much, 75% planted, and it should be pretty much all planted by the end of this week.
How big are those concerns, Alastair? I mean, is that a concern to overall production this year?
Yes, it certainly is, because basically what you're doing with the second crop corn is you're trying to squeeze another crop in before the summer rains end, normally in about April. So every week that you're delayed, that means that you have a bigger chance of dry weather hitting the crop during kind of key reproductive phases. So yes. What's the profitability for farmers there this year? In Brazil, fair to good. I mean, obviously, considering the price levels that we're talking about internationally, I mean, they're excellent. And that's mainly because of the devaluation of the Brazilian real, which basically fell a third against the dollar last year. And we're continuing to see the positive impact on margins through this year, obviously.
What's the outlook to the west then in Argentina for corn and soybean production this year?
Yeah, Argentina is, it's looking like a bumper year down there at the moment. There were some concerns over because of a dry spell in the kind of the heart of the grain belt in Buenos Aires and Cordoba in January. It's the rain has returned there though, so soybean and corn crops are looking basically excellent. We're looking for something of the order of about 60 million tons for soybeans in Argentina, and a bumper crop for corn as well, something maybe in excess of 25 million tons.
I'm wondering if farmers there have changed any of their management practices or long-term practices because of the new presidential policies enacted.
Yes. In the short term, they planted a little bit more late corn after Mauricio Macri was elected. Obviously, he was elected in the middle of the summer cycle, so there wasn't that much they could do for this year. What we're expecting to see though is a big increase in wheat planting, possibly when that starts going into the ground in the autumn. So yeah, there will be changes, and there will be more changes to come. I mean, longer term, this kind of the end of the control of the currency and also the end of the controls on corn and wheat will mean inevitably that Argentine farmers start investing more in their crops as well.
Have they still been holding soybeans, or have most of those been able to come to market?
They've sold a lot of soybeans over the last couple of months, particularly in January. So those huge stocks that they had at the end of last year have been diminished. They haven't completely disappeared. There are no reliable numbers on this, so it's a little difficult to go into. But say if you were to say that they had 15 million tons of stocks of soybeans in October, then now they've got maybe 7 million tons. They've cut it by half or something like that. So they've sold a lot of soybeans, yes.
Is there any concern right now about El Nino flipping to La Nina for the next growing season, Alastair?
There is concern, yes. I mean, we don't have any better data down here about whether that will actually happen than for you, but yes, there is that concern. Obviously, inevitably, La Nina will not favour crops down here.